Hi everyone. I'm actually all of those things that the previous speaker warned you about. I'm an engineer with an MBA. So yeah. And now I'm an IS officer. So switching careers all over the place. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the topic that I was given to talk about, a society of equals. Um, just going very randomly, why do we need a society of equals? And there's no emotional or ethical or moral logic to this. There's a pure economics logic, which you guys will connect with. If you have a society of which 50%, let's take the case of women, 50% are not working, then it is on the other 50% to support them, right? The other 50% is going and uh, paying for these dependent individuals to survive, which means as a country, as a world, we are at lower productivity. We are at lower potential, we're at lower space than we could possibly have been at, which means we could all have been living at Mars right now, but we're not. We're still stuck here and polluting this earth. So it's just purely an economic logic. If you have a society in which 50% of the people are not working or are not producing, the other 50% is burdened by them. The other 50% has to take care of them. But if you have a society where everybody is working, if not to the same extent, but at least to whatever potential they have, then what happens is that you've got now a productivity of 100%. Because जो पहले 25 था, you had 50 people producing, that 50 was supporting another 50, which means per individual it was 25, and now you have 100, right? So that's the reason that you need to have people with all kinds of abilities and all kinds of personalities to be at their potential, to encourage everyone to be out there and producing out there and being an equal in this world. Because if you have equals, if you have everyone on the same platform, that's how you get people, that's how you grow as a country. And let's look at the corporate sector. For example, if you have, let's take the case of marketing. If you only have a certain type of people who are doing your marketing, then they can also come up with certain types of ideas, certain set of ideas, which target one particular, which come from their backgrounds, their knowledge, their experience, and their perspectives, which means they won't be able to target that other set of people that were not included in that decision making, right? So as a country, when we think about growing, if we have these 50 people who are producing, these 50 people who are doing everything, they're not going to be able to, they're not going to connect with that other 50%. When they produce something, when they make something, they're making it for a very small set of people with a very small perspective. Okay, let's take the example, you want to solve the problem of pollution, right? Now, it's not just the men who are polluting, right? It's the women as well. So, but if the solutions to your problem are coming only from the men, then they're looking at the ways that they pollute and hence only trying to curb that down, which means you will never solve the problem because you're never targeting that set of people that are also a part of the problem. Hence, you need every single person in your area, in where society, in your country, in the world, who's doing something up to their potential. You need all kinds of voices in that, in that sector. Let's take a simple story. When you don't involve the mother in the decision making for the child, that mom is the one who takes care of that child throughout. But it's the dad who decides what is the career of that child, what is the path that that child is going to take, what food that child is going to eat. The person who's actually doing the work for the child has not been a part of that decision, which means there'll be a lot of lacuna, there'll be a huge set of problems that will never get solved. So as, as a team, as a country, as a society, we need all of those decisions, all of those perspectives to come into whatever we are saying. And that's the primary economic reason why you need a society of equals. Now let's talk about it from a moral perspective or from an ethical perspective. If you as an individual are getting to live your life properly to your potential, to wherever you want to be, do whatever you want to do, how can you then not allow the same opportunities to the other people? As a country, if we're saying that we will allow only these particular set of people to really live their life in whatever fashion they wish, to do whatever they want, then are you, from a moral or an ethical perspective, being just or fair. Why does a human being not have a right to the same opportunities, the same parameters, the same circumstances, the same experiences, the same lifestyles that someone else does? Who are you to decide that the accident of birth should decide what life you lead? How can one thing which you did not have a control over then control the rest of your existence? So, let's take people with disabilities. I'm just going to go with that sector. If you're telling a person with disability that, I'm not going to make this building something that you can come inside and work in, or something where you can be a part of the same system as everybody else, you have taken away the new perspectives, the new ideas, and the new productivity that person could have brought in, and you've made that person dependent on you. So now you have to go out and give them food to survive, right? Secondly, you have now taken away that person's opportunity to earn for themselves, to be independent, and trust me on this, financial earnings, financial power is the biggest equalizing force in the world. People who earn, people who have money, they're the only ones who can make decisions. In most case studies, this has been really found out that whenever a person is able to earn, they have money, they are spending it without someone else telling them how to, and since it's their money, they can. That's how you get people to actually be empowered and not be abused. We're a country which has insane amounts of domestic violence. Most households have it. It's not visible, it's not complained about because our women have gotten used to it. Our society expects that women will take whatever is coming to them simply because they are not financially independent. Once you're dependent on someone else for your survival, you're dependent on them for all of your existence, which means you will take whatever comes to you. You will allow abuse to happen to you. You will allow yourself to be a victim. You will allow yourself to be a person who's a passive survivor and not really an active person taking decisions for themselves for a system that they're part of. And that's not fair, that's not productive, that doesn't solve anything. So let's just talk about equality from that plain perspective. Let's look at, if you're not making an office space, or you're not allowing a person into a job because of their gender, because of their race, because of their disability, all of those factors are now making you be a less productive organization, making you be a less productive society. Most of the people today get a job in the IT sector, especially in your Gurgaons and your Bangalores and all of these places. Imagine an IT team which is supposed to do brainstorming, right? Consulting, that's a very interesting sector. Most of us MBAs, we end up in consulting. So a very interesting sector. A lot of people want to be in it. But imagine a consulting team which has people of same backgrounds, same 5 set of people. Can they actually solve anything? Can they actually produce any usable, practical results? No, simply because if you all look at the same thing from the same eyes, you will also come up with the same set of solutions. See, where do our solutions come from? They come from our experiences, right? And as a person with a different background, with a different gender, with a different ability, you will always have lived a different experience. And hence, your solutions will be influenced by your backgrounds. Your ideas, your thoughts, your perspectives are also always defined by what you've experienced, which means that when you look at a solution, you always look at it from what you've faced. Which is why they say, I work a lot for the disability sector, so that's one thing, that all the people who are making the decisions for persons with disability are ones who are not disabled themselves. And that's the biggest problem why we still have a completely inaccessible country, why our education system still excludes all of these people. And that same thing goes for people who are transgenders, people who are even women in a lot of villages. I work in rural areas, and my village women still don't work, which means these women still wear a ghungat till here. And these are women in Delhi. These are not women in a small town or stuck somewhere in Haryana or Rajasthan. They're actually Delhi women who wear ghungat every day till here. Not kidding, that's how I see them. And the issue is that they're not financially independent. Nobody has even thought about giving them financial independence. The rural areas, your agricultural land becomes very important. So when your agricultural land is inherited only by males for generations and generations, you've taken away the financial independence of all your women. You've made them all dependent, and all of these women are a hidden potential, but they're living the lowest, at their lowest, simply because they've not been allowed to go out in the world and give a perspective, go out in the world to experience, to earn for themselves, and hence empower themselves. So it's not a society of equals that is required for someone else. You don't need to do it for someone else. You don't need to give opportunities or platforms or podiums to other people for them. Don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. The minute you don't allow someone else to work for themselves, to stand on their own feet, to earn their own living, to actually survive on their own, to be independent, you have put a burden on yourself. Be selfish. Think for yourself. You need other people to be doing their best so that you can live a happier and a more productive life. If you're spending 50% of your salary on your wife, on supporting your kids who you've managed to not get them to work, please don't do child labor. No. What I'm saying is your adult kids who are not working, or you didn't allow your daughters to go out and work, you will be the one who's paying her bills. You'll be the one who's paying the bills for your wife. You'll be the one paying the bills for your daughters, paying the bills for your sisters. Do you need to do that? That means you have less money to spend on your interests. What if you want to go traveling? What if you want to buy a car? You want to buy a bigger house, or get better clothes? You can't do that. You now need to take care of those people who are dependent on you, because over the years you never allowed them to have their own independence, to earn for themselves, and that's the simplest, most selfish reason to allow a society of equals, to allow for other people to actually get up and start doing things, so that it's not a burden on you. You're not the one who's taking care of them, and you can also depend on them in a time of change. For example, if you want to change a career, you're set in a particular lifestyle, you're set in a career, but you want to go out and explore, right? And that's what we're all about these days. Let's go find new things that we want to do, find new careers that we want to do. You want to do that. If you're the one who's providing for everybody else, you can never do that. You can only do that if you know that there is someone else who will be taking care of the bills while you're not earning, while you're exploring yourself. Just for that simple, selfish reason, you need the people in your house to be producing to their best potential. And that's my only argument for a society for equals. Be selfish, want other people to put in their best so that you can laze off once in a while. So I hope we all end up doing that. I hope we all allow everyone around us to really get to their potential, because if we don't, we're still going to be slogging on this earth and never reach Mars and Jupiter. Thank you.